5 million years ago, the world looked quite different from how it looks today. The continents were in slightly different positions, there was a lot more water around, and there were no humans anywhere to be seen. So what was happening on Earth 5 million years ago? And what does it tell us about our own origins? Hi and welcome to Paleologic. I'm your host. Today we are going to travel back in time to 5 million years ago. At the start of the Eocene, mammals had only recently diversified, and were starting to fill newly available ecological niches that scientists have discovered from this time period and find out what they can tell us about the ancient world. And toward the end of the epoch, global temperatures would suddenly plummet. The creature was a relative of modern-day shrews, and was one of the earliest ancestors of North American bats. If the animal was a shrew-like mammal that scurried around on the ground, why do we think it was related to bats? Well, it turns out that these creatures had a special adaptation that set them apart from other terrestrial mammals, making this new species only the third of its kind ever found. It also helps us better understand the origin of bats. Let's move south to Mississippi, where another amazing discovery has just been made, which play an important role in ecosystems around the world. The creature, which lived 42 million years ago, was a mammal from the order Cingulata, which also includes previously, the oldest cingulate fossils had been found in Europe and Asia, and dated back around 55 million years. This suggests that the ancestors of cingulates originated in the Old World, then spread to the Americas around 10 million years later. The fossil was found in the 35-meter-thick Collie Deposition, sharp teeth in the front for shearing through vegetation and a pair of moose-like antlers on top. The researchers believe that Monoceros was an herbivore that browsed on leaves and twigs high up in the forest canopy. They also suggest that the animal may have used its antlers for defense against predators, such as wolves and bears. The antlers were around 2 meters wide and had a complex vascular system. Monoceros is the oldest known member of the giraffe family ever found in the Americas, and it provides new insights into the origins of modern giraffes. What do you think? Are you fascinated by the ancient world as I am? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. It also helps us better understand the ancient ecosystems of the Pacific Northwest. During the Eocene epoch, the region was home to a diverse array of mammals, including early ancestors of horses, rhinoceroses, and elephants. The discovery of Monoceros adds to our knowledge of this ancient fauna and helps us piece together the history of life in the Pacific Northwest, suggesting that they were used for more than just attracting mates or intimidating rivals. A geological formation that has yielded a wealth of Eocene fossils. Cingulates are a relatively obscure group of animals with only 8 species alive today, so it is not surprising that they have been overlooked in the past. However, by studying the fossil record, we can learn more about their origins and how they have changed over time. Modern bats are essential for pollinating plants and dispersing seeds, and they also eat huge quantities of insects. However, habitat loss and climate change are putting many bat species at risk of extinction, which they use for protection against predators. The plates are made of modified skin tissue called scutes, which grow and fuse together as the animal ages. The fossil was only 3 inches long, so it probably belonged to a young animal that had not yet fully grown its armor. It was a relative of modern-day giraffes and okapi, and it was the largest known mammal in the Pacific Northwest during the Eocene. But the researchers were still able to identify the plates that were present, and determined that the animal was a member of By studying the evolutionary history of bats, we can learn more about how they adapt to environmental change, and what we can do to help protect them. They had a special structure in their inner ear called the end organ of the skull, which is an enlarged structure in the middle ear that is used for hearing. This feature is also found in bats, but not in other land-dwelling mammals. Named Parabatus perplexus after the mythical Greek creature, with the body of a bat and face of a monkey, was identified based on a single tooth found in the fossil record. The tooth was small, barely longer than 1 millimeter, and was adapted for quickly chewing and processing plant matter. It belonged to a group of small protobats that gave rise to modern bats, and lived alongside their more famous flying relatives. These creatures were shrew-like mammals that scurried around the forest floor and occasionally took to the trees. Shortly after the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs, some of these descendants remained on the ground, evolving into shrew-like creatures, while others developed the ability to fly and gave rise to modern bats, leading to the formation of ice sheets and dramatic changes in global ecosystems. We're going to look at some fossils that have been discovered from this time period. the landscape was dominated by vast, tropical rainforests rather than the temperate forests and grasslands that characterize much of the continent today. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, the Eocene epoch, which began 56 million years ago, was one of the hottest periods in Earth's history, with average global temperatures around 17 degrees Celsius or around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This created a nearly tropical climate across the northern hemisphere, and we're going to see what they can tell us about the ancient world and our own origins. Okay, let's start by getting oriented in time. As usual, when we say 5 million years ago, we mean the start of the 5 million year time interval. Actually, the year 5 million is just a convenient label for the beginning of that 5 million year span of time. In reality, the events we will talk about today happened gradually, over hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. Now, when it comes to understanding our place in the universe, time seems like an endless stretch of billions and billions of years. However, on the scale of geologic time, 5 million years is actually not that long ago. It is so recent that there are many fossils of plants and animals that lived then that are still being discovered today. 5 million years ago, North America was a very different place than it is today. This was also a time of significant change. So now let us take a closer look at some of the fossils in Wyoming. Paleontologists have found the fossil of a tiny mammal that lived 52 million years ago during the Eocene epoch. The new species? But wait a second. The researchers believe that these protobats evolved from a common ancestor that lived around 66 million years ago. This discovery is important because it helps us better understand the evolution of early mammals. Shrew-like proto-wombats are extremely rare in the fossil record. And speaking of ancient creatures that are still with us today, a relative of the modern-day armadillo has been identified from a fossil found in Mississippi. What makes this particular fossil so interesting is that it represents the oldest known cingulate from the Americas. The researchers were able to identify the fossil as a member of cingulates, based on its unique armor. Cingulates are known for their distinctive bony plates. This discovery is important because it helps us better understand the evolutionary history of mammals. Okay, finally, let's head west to the Wallowa Mountains in Oregon for our last amazing discovery. There, 49 million years ago, a large mammal with deer-like antlers grazed in the undergrowth of a dense forest. The creature, named Monoceros harris, the skull had large base on its size and antler shape. This discovery is important because it helps us better understand the evolution of mammals. Well, that's it for today's episode.